Thank you and good afternoon. So my role as a moderator is going to be really tough as I have got shortened from 40 minutes to 20 minutes. But even more challenging, the role of the moderator is going to be that I am from the 2005 metallurgy batch, and our very distinguished panel, we have Subhendu Bhai, who is from the 83 batch, and he is also a metallurgist, and he is from the batch when I was born. So I was born in the year 1983, and I have an alumnus here who's graduated in the year 1983. Then, going in chronological order, we have again everybody's favorite and our very dear Prashant Bhai, Dr. Prashant Mahapatra. He is from the 87 electrical batch, and then Arun from the 1990 batch. I think we don't have a lot of time for introduction. We have already met Prashant, who is the Vice Chancellor at UC Davis, and he also happens to be one of our distinguished alumnus from the Distinguished Alumnus awardees from NIT Rourkela. I'll just maybe very quickly introduce the rest of the panel as well. So starting with again Subhendu Bhai. So Subhendu has a wealth of experience in telecom. He has, after his stint with NIT in 1983, he went to US. He earned 2 master's degree there, including an MBA. And he has been, associated with a lot of leading telecom ventures, including his role as a country head for Motorola in India. And he has been associated for a very long time with Nokia Siemens as well, where he was handling the business development function. Presently, he runs his own startup consulting firm, which he started in 2016, and that is a firm which specializes in niche IoT, big data, and analytics solutions for the telecom industry as a whole. So a leading expert that we have within our Nitra family from the telecom industry. So that a round of applause for Subhendu Bhai. Dr. Prashant Mahapatra, everybody has already heard him, but from his domain and from his, expertise perspective, as part of his research role, he heads research within UC Davis, but he focuses more on wireless communications, wireless networks, internet protocol, cyber security, and also artificial intelligence. So he's an expert in that. He has published over 300 papers in various national and international journals. So truly, absolutely one of the leading luminaries in research in the whole, in his field of expertise. And then we have our very distinguished, Mr. Arun Sharma, batch of 1990 electrical, and he is currently holding the position of the COO, the Chief Operating Officer for Sterlite Power. And prior to this, he has also been on the board of various utilities organizations. He was on the board of one of the largest EPC companies in Kazakhstan. And also, just before joining Sterlite, he was actually the COO for Punj Lloyd as well. And he is based in Delhi. So again, one of the best that we can have from an industry expertise perspective when it comes to utilities. So we have 2 industry experts, 1 telecom, 1 utilities, and we have, a very strong research perspective. A quick word about myself, the youngest in the panel. My name is Lagnajit. I graduated in 2005, metallurgy. And after that, I earned my MBA from SPGen, and after that, I have been working for the last 11 odd years in the enterprise applications business, so enterprise technology and consulting. So I've spent some time, as as it was just mentioned, with companies like Deloitte, EY. Currently, I'm with SAP. And as part of the panel discussion, so it is aptly titled the future technologies, right? So I would like to maybe start with one interesting quote I was just reading, because all the quotations, we saw through that. Bill Gates once said that the advance of technology is best felt when it is a fit to an extent that you don't even notice it. That is the power of technology, when it unleashes and you don't even notice it. And the prime example was, when I was coming from my residence in Gurgaon today to here, and I couldn't start my car. All I had to do was to go log on to my app on Ola and Uber, and then I could get a car to come here, right? So that's basically, how simple technology can be. And the topic that we have today is very relevant as a panel discussion, future technologies. All of us are Nitrans, and all of us, irrespective of our roles, irrespective of whether we are actually working in a technical capacity or we are in research, in academics, or in administration and management or sales, we are all connected to the world of technology, right? So it's a very apt forum. And talking from my experience, so at SAP, technology, we are a technology company, so we basically focus on, as you may be all aware, in the enterprise technology, including solutions like enterprise resource planning, supply chain, CRM, product lifecycle management, and so on. And what we are seeing increasingly in the last 3 to 5 years is, in fact, we did a survey with the top 50 CEOs globally, and we came to know the findings of the survey was that in the next 3 years are going to be the most relevant for the CEOs rather than the last 50 years, when we look at the adoption and we look at the pace of technology adoption. And the disruptive drivers are for everyone to, all of us are familiar with the disruptive technology trends, be it big data, be it Internet of Things, IoT. In fact, many surveys and statistics say that today we have 50 billion plus connected devices, which basically leads to the whole proliferation of IoT use cases across industries. So big data, IoT, predictive analytics, machine learning, and now we are hearing another term called blockchain. So all these technologies are disrupting businesses like never before. So Ola and Uber are an example, a classic example of how the transportation industry got disrupted. Netflix is an example of how the whole entertainment industry is getting, disrupted, from video rentals to streaming. And the fallout is there are companies which are going bankrupt because they are not able to keep pace with the change of technology. If you look at Netflix, for every Netflix there is a Blockbuster, which was in a company in US, a company called Blockbuster, which was basically selling, video rentals. And today they are out of business. So technology is disruptive, and enterprise players like Microsoft, Oracle, SAP, Google, all these major enterprise software companies, they are also coming up with innovations to harness these technologies and make sure that companies and industries are going through what we call digital transformation. So digital transformation is not a new topic. It's been around for a long time. It is only that today the cost and viability has increased tremendously. So as one more example I will cite before I move on to the panel. So we took the example of Uber and Ola. We are also hearing about driverless cars, cars which don't have any drivers. Now, how many of you know that driverless cars is a concept which has been around since the 1930s? It's not a 2018 phenomena. The first driverless car actually was manufactured in Japan in the year 1977. It had only 2 cameras, and it was using an analog computer, and it could drive up to a maximum speed of 30 kilometers per hour. Right? So that was the first driverless car which came up in 1970s. But now, just last month, or rather this month, in December 2018, we have had the first commercial driverless taxi service which has started in the state of Arizona in US by a company called, I think, Wacom. So this organization has actually now piloted this after 10 million plus miles of miles of testing. So the driverless car is actually now a reality which uses artificial intelligence, which uses augmented reality, virtual reality, and basically uses a lot of sensors. So what has happened is technology has been changing. The cost has been coming down. The cost of a sensor, which was in the 80s, which you need for the driverless car, the cost has come down by 400 times. The cost of 3D printing has come down by 300 times in the last 3 decades, from the 1970s till now. So basically, the cost and viability has increased. In that context, what would be interesting to hear from our distinguished panel is how do they look at some of these trends within the context of their industries and within the context of the academic and the research perspective. Yeah. So I'm told that I'm already short of time. So I'll basically need to request my panelists to take up in a couple of minutes and describe this. So I'll start with Prashant, Dr. Prashant, to basically look at maybe AI as one of the topics, artificial intelligence, and where do you see the impact and what are the top use cases from a research standpoint that you are seeing in your capacity?
Okay, thanks. And I'll try to be brief. I know we are between food and you. So from the fundamental research point of view, here is what my prediction regarding the future technology. And the way I try to remember is just look at your hand, okay? This is how I'll define it. In order for global sustenance and for the growth of humanity or continuance of the humanity, you need only 5 things. Food and water, let's call it as agriculture, health, environment, energy, and society. Anything else that you think can be subsumed under this. Now, the center of the hand is the palm. That's where is the data-driven knowledge that you have to power all of these. So if you think about it, already energy, environment, which is related more about climate change, society with all this, Facebook type things and all, they're heavily data-driven and a lot of artificial intelligence are used in that. In the next 10 years, I predict that there will be a lot of activities on data-driven agriculture and data-driven healthcare. And there is a bit of commonality between these two also. If you think about it, unlike other types of technology in agriculture, it's not like you hit enter, things change and things get executed and there. Agriculture, things grow in a very gradual form. Similarly, in healthcare, 80% of the healthcare expenditures are in chronic diseases. All those happen over a long period of time. So these are really prime areas where we need to have better artificial intelligence technology in order to create products in the sense that, create knowledge in order to advance those fields. And I can go on and on this, but in the interest of time, let me pause here.
Thank you. I think, that was interesting. So to hear how the agriculture and the, other industries are using AI, maybe my next question to Subhendu Bhai would be, to please share your perspective from the telecom industry, which has been one of the earliest adopters from analytics and IoT and the other use cases.
Yeah.
So where do you see the industry shifting towards from a technology perspective?
I'll also be really short because if you have seen, I think the line of comfort for all you guys is that if you have seen sitting me there and often interrupting the speakers on the podium because I am the timekeeper for the event today. The official timekeeper that Sandeep has given me the title. So I'll be really short. I think the telecom industry is going through a profound change at this point as we speak. We have seen, I have the privilege of working from 1G to 4G, and then now it is the 5G, the era is coming up. In 5G, we are seeing a complete change in the way the telcos are used to be called, the so-called telecom providers. If you have Airtels, Reliance, the Vodafones of the world today in India. There are new entrants coming, and tomorrow there may not be a Reliance, tomorrow there may not be a Vodafone or an Airtel. There could be a Google, could be a Facebook, could be Amazon that is going to be your service provider. And they call themselves as the IoT service provider because they are taking control of everything in your home all the way to your work and going beyond. So telcos, from that point of view, is going to go through a profound change, and the 5G IoT interplay is going to be a major disruptor in this whole market. Just if I can get 30 seconds more, the 5G itself, just to give you a quick example, up to 4G, it was voice and data and enhancements of that. It was meant for the cellular operators. For 5G, it is now bandwidth assigned for agriculture, for telemedicine, for healthcare, for different verticals. So those are all coming in together, and wireless communication with the low latency that 5G provides is going to be the most prolific among all the communication medium that we have seen in our lifetime.
Thank you. India is definitely, it is one of the biggest telco markets in the whole world, and I think, the innovations that you mentioned are really going to shape the future. From telco, we move to utilities, and I would like to request maybe Arun to share quickly the perspectives from the technology, from a power generation perspective.
Thank you, Laganjit. I think before I start, let's go for a loud round of applause for those who have organized this event. And second round of applause for all those who are here today. Generation is going the telecom way. What I mean by this is, if you choose to pay for your telephone call, you can. If you choose not to pay, then you need not. That's what is going to happen to generation over the years. If you look at the last year, almost 70 to 75% of generation has happened in the renewables. And you know what cost? 2 rupees 30 paisa, 2 rupees 40 paisa. That's the cost of generation today. And with leading technologies getting employed for generation on solar, the cost is going to come down so low that it will be useless to meter energy. That is the direction in which we are going. That's the direction which we are going now. India alone added about 40,000 megawatts in last 4 years. In 2014, we were at about 20,000 megawatt. Now we are at 70,000 megawatt on renewables with an overall generation capacity of 350,000 megawatts. So we are going in a big way on renewables. And let me tell you, there are certain technological advancements which are happening, pushing this towards low cost, at the same time opening up a huge deployment of technologies from the digital world. Look at drones, an offshore wind turbine, you can now inspect in less than 20 minutes. If you look at other technologies like artificial intelligence, you can predict what kind of weather is going to be after 2 days, and you can take a shutdown. And all these is driving the cost down. I can tell you an example in Chile, where a company called Enel, they are lowest cost, and they have said that they will deliver power at lower than all the coal plants in that country. So solar and wind is actually replacing all the fossil fuels, and in next 20 or 25 years' time, you would see fossil fuel struggling for existence. That's what's going to happen. And to add to this, the battery is taking a big center stage now. 100 megawatt kind of a storage system in Australia, which is replicable, which can actually happen in any part of the world.
Yeah.
And the moment that happens, the whole generation, transmission, and distribution system is going for a big revolution. You may not need those big transmission lines because the whole generation becomes then distributive. You can have a field where you can store the whole kind of energy that is required to run a place. So there's a big disruption which is coming this way, and technologies like robotics, drone, artificial intelligence, 3D printing for printing of these wind turbine blades, remove all the logistic challenges. So that's what is the future. And if I can conclude this, the only thing that will remain constant is change. And if the utilities and if the generations do not change, then the life is going to be very tough. Thank you.
Well said. Thank you. So we are actually out of time, so we will like to summarize this. And in summary, what I would like to share is we very briefly heard 2 different industry perspectives, and then we heard from Dr. Mahapatra in terms of how AI is impacting a couple of other industries. But critical to understand is behind every technology is still just an enabler. At the end of the day, your operations and your business model is fundamental, and people are critical to all of this. So we need to reskill our workforce to be able to harness these technologies, and that's where institutions of higher learning like NIT come into the picture. And if we can actually revamp our curriculum at NIT Rourkela to start introducing some of these topics, which gives it a much more industry-specific, view rather than a more theoretical approach to engineering. I think that would be something which will be very critical for all our future graduates. And I would urge, all of us, including alumni as well as the institute management, to please harness this immense talented manpower that we have, our alumni base, to also involve us in the whole course and pedagogy, and so that we can provide inputs in terms of shaping the curriculum. So with that, I would like to thank all my panelists here, and I would request all of you to give a big round of applause to our very distinguished panelists. And we are still on time, I think. We still managed to complete 1:20. So thank you, everyone, and let's break for lunch.